So today's video, guys, focuses on the main problems I'm having with wargaming at the moment. Not in terms of some of the stuff that they've done, but hopefully we can give a little warning as to what they are going to maybe do in the future. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We want to get a bit of a discussion going within this video in particular, whereby we're looking at basically the Cold War element of the game. Has it been a success? Has it been a failure? Do you play this game mode more than the other game mode? Do you actually like World War II more? Kind of just getting your thoughts. I know personally I haven't really touched Cold War since its release. I've barely even played it. You know, these are the only tanks I have in the Cold War game on my account. Of course, it is one of those things whereby I'm just not interested in it. I don't think like the balance is quite right within the game. You've got things like the eras whereby the M60s are just way worse than the T62s, the T72A, and the various different tanks within the second era. And then of course you get to the tier 10, and the American ones can barely even pen the Russian ones. And I've just heard that the balance within the game just isn't quite there. I did call it within the start of the game, you know, the first era being heavily swayed towards the American line, with the top tier being the better one, the M48 pattern, and then having the Object 165. But then once you reach the second era, they just become even better, and you've got the T72 AV being just the top dog at the moment within the game. Now, I don't know what I'm actually thinking with regards to the development. I really do know that Wargaming basically are implementing the independence tech tree within Cold War. And what does that basically mean? Well, it basically gives Wargaming the free roam to create their own tanks within the game. Yes, does that sound familiar? Of course. Mercenary tanks being the World War II version of that, and I'm really hoping that Wargaming don't just do what they did with the mercenary tanks, creating just obscene vehicles that are just nothing like what the game actually really needs, which is creating new tech tree lines within the already existing alliances, and also just producing content that is already, you know, established within the world. So bringing in some of the Swedish TDs, bringing in some of the, you know, interesting new kind of tanks within the world that maybe aren't as well known, bring them in as the independence tech tree. Of course, don't, you know, create these tanks that are just blatantly overpowered, that are going to subside the game, where, you know, it just becomes, if you're not playing in one of these independence made up tanks, then you're going to be at a significant disadvantage, as of when mercenaries were released. If we all remember the machine just taking grip with the matchmaker and just ruining everyone's day for that solid like month of release. And yeah, I just think that let's not have a repeat of that. Really don't want to see it, and I think today's video is kind of like a little bit of a warning to Wargaming as to their development, because of course I think what's happening is the pressure on the Cold War game mode, whereby they are just forcing players to really play it. And with the most recent update news on the game, of course focusing on the season pass, whereby you'll be able to pick up 2 Cold War premium tanks as part of the season pass, of course, costing 2,000 gold for the standard battle pass, and then 11,000 gold, roughly 11 or 12 or something very similar to that kind of price when they get released within the next season. Which, of course, as of the recording of this video, is tomorrow. So if you're seeing this when the season's already released, of course you'll know exactly what's come out with the update. But as far as when this video is recorded, we're just talking about the possibilities of just the game and the kind of future of the game. What are Wargaming's plans? Because they've not been too transparent, to be honest with you. We don't really know what kind of direction the game is going in, but of course we can make our own minds up as to where the game's going, and of course let me know in the comment section down below. But my key thing is, I guess, with this video is of course Wargaming have now been promoting the Cold War game mode so heavily that I just think it's kind of getting a bit too much. You know, we're looking at this, of course they're just putting loads and loads of stimulus events for the Cold War game mode, trying to boost up the player numbers, I think. We're also getting, of course, the premium tanks within Cold War, which is a real kind of problem, I guess, with regards to people that play World War II, because yes, you might have developed this whole new game mode that you really want players to test out, but if the game mode is something that the players don't want to play, and you're seeing that in the numbers, and hence why you're trying to promote the game so much, then just take it as that people don't want to play the game mode. Don't try and force people, don't try and stimulate the game into, or players into playing something that they don't want to play, because of course they can leave. Players can just leave the game, and I think that that's something wargaming need to be careful of. And I think, yes, the Cold War game mode is kind of an extra to the game. If you want to play that sort of gameplay where you've got the true vision, then yes, it's fantastic. But I don't think that it is the main aspect of World of Tanks console that it previously was. Yes, I'm not going to be that complaining unicorn that's played the game on World War II for the entirety, and I'm never playing Cold War because I just don't believe in it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Cold War. I don't like the gameplay. I'm not particularly that I don't find it enjoyable, to be honest with you. And yes, I could play it, I could do well, I could, get involved in it, I could adapt to it, but I'm just not interested in it, and I don't see why I should have to play it, because the season pass basically says that you have to. Now, with regards to the rewards, of course, if it's Cold War kind of stuff, then yes, I guess that I'll play it and I'll make some content for it. But if I'm just not enjoying it myself, I'm not going to promote something that just is not enjoyable. And I think I've seen that in a lot of the comments in the comment section on my YouTube channel regarding the new game mode on World of Tanks. But yeah, I just think that sometimes it's a bit too much from Wargaming in terms of their promotion of it. Yes, I get it, it's a new kind of content, but don't promote something that isn't kind of finished yet. I don't think that it's quite ready for people to kind of mass play it. There's just not enough diversity within the game mode. Of course, releasing it with just 2 tech tree lines is not enough. It just isn't enough. I don't even care. You've released almost the same amount of premium tanks as you have one entire line of tanks within the game. Of course, let me just basically, yes, they're not exactly the same amount of tanks, but considering the T-44, the T-54, the T-62 all have their models already within the game, and that it would just require some altering. And then we've got the same with the M46 pattern, the M47, the M48A5, the M60, all of those are already within the game. It's just slight changes that they would have to make. So yes, we have got almost as many premium tanks as actual new tanks within the game. And of course, yes, let's bring in the T-72 Ural, a premium version of a tech tree tank that we've already got. So yeah, I think spending a little more time developing some new tanks that are actually completely different from the standard World War II game mode might actually help with people wanting to play. And of course, the silver problem that you get within Cold War is kind of one that I think people got put off with. Of course, I know that the premium tanks within the game can make a silly amount of silver if you do have the Detente era or the Escalation era premiums that are the T62 M1, the T72 Ural, and the M60A1 pattern rise. So yeah, those all make super high amounts of silver comparatively to the World War II mode, but is it enough to actually warrant you playing the game if you don't enjoy it? Well, no, of course not. If you don't enjoy something, then don't play it. That's my kind of thing for you guys, and I think that that's something people kind of miss. I guess that people feel like they have to be forced into it. Of course, with a lot of these operations going on, it kind of forces you to play them. Of course, you don't have to do that for any of the season challenges, of course, though. So when you're getting to tier 100, you don't actually have to play the game. It's just like an extra... if you want to play the Cold War game mode, most of them are available to either, whatever game mode you play on. Most of the operations are for both, so you don't have to play one specific one. Of course, with the actual stimulus events, of course, you have to actually play on the Cold War game mode, but not too much. And I think that that's something Wargaming need to be aware of for the future, because if you're trying to promote something that players don't genuinely like, then what you'll do is you'll just annoy the player base that you've already got to the point where they just get fed up of it. They get fed up of no content coming onto the game mode that they're actually playing and that they played the game for, and then they leave. Because, when it's a free game, or at least a game that they haven't actually invested any money into, of course a lot of the players have, don't get me wrong, the game is probably more heavily monetized than a lot of games out there because, people pay £20 for one tank and they've got multiple tanks within the garage. They pay for the season pass every month. They've got various different, or every month and a bit. And of course, you have to be aware of that. I just think that wargaming need to have a little bit of a warning. Don't be producing these independent tanks like the mercenary ones, because that will not go down well. Don't be just fueling this Cold War stimulus whereby you're just forcing players to actually play a game that they don't enjoy. I know that, everyone, well, not everyone, but the majority of people said that they didn't want True Vision on launch on the original game when we didn't have the Cold War game mode. Everyone said, no, this True Vision thing is not for us. I think it was something like 80% of players said that they didn't actually want it. That takes into account that people said they weren't really fussed on it, and also people that said, no, I don't want this. So there were 3 options, I think. We had one that was just a flat out, no, I don't want it. One that was, I'm not bothered. And 3 was, yes, I want it. And I think it was like an 80-20 split between people not wanting it and people actually wanting it, respectively. So, yes, people didn't want it. And then they produce it. They test it 3 times, I think it was. People still said that they didn't want it. And then what happens? Wargaming continue their development and then create a whole new game mode just to test out this True Vision mechanic. Yes, we already know all about True Vision, and I won't go into it in too much detail, but of course it is that feature whereby everyone is always rendered within the game, and so it doesn't matter whether you're spotted or not, it will always show you on the map or within your HUD, so you're never not spotted, if that makes sense. It's just whether you have that triangle above your head or wherever you are within the game. So yeah, not particularly something I enjoy. It's not because I can't get used to it. It's not because I wouldn't want to do it, but I just found it very boring. A lot of camping going on, a lot of just sitting in a bush, and that is it. I guess if you're into more of a simulation tank game, then yes, but considering World of Tanks is an arcade game, it's not actually realistic. How many tanks could take 10 shells from an enemy and still be running perfectly? In real life, it's like you take 1 shell through your tank and pretty much that's your tank knocked out, depending on where they've hit it. Of course, yes, there'll be some people in the comments saying, well, actually, a tank can take 3 shells before it's knocked out. But yeah, as a general rule, if they hit you in the wrong kind of spot, you are going to be taken out within 1 shell. So yeah, I think that's something Wargaming kind of need to take into account when they are designing the game and developing it, because you can try and make it realistic, but if it isn't a realistic game down to its core mechanics, then it doesn't really work. And I think that's something that needs to be spoken about. Of course, this video's been quite long for a topic that I guess is quite small in a discussion, but I do like having these videos from time to time where we try and discuss all of the latest update news. What do we think it's actually going to work out like? What is the future of the game? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Am I looking forward to it? Am I not? Well, personally, yes, I'm looking forward to the new season. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on doing some new content. Of course, the Italian heavy tanks for World War II coming out fairly soon. Haven't been given a specific date for that, but I am looking forward to getting my hands on those because I have played a little bit on PC with the Italian heavies, and of course, they were really fun. Actually, really, really fun. I do like the Italian auto-reloading mechanic, in which the Italian heavies do get. So, something I'm looking forward to. I guess when they drop, we'll have to see. We'll do a little review if I can. Of course, there's been lots of comments actually saying, can I review a specific tank? Well, I am trying to work on getting a lot of new tanks within the game, but of course I am only one person. I only have so much time in the day. I only have so many XP boosters where I can boost through all of the tech trees. And yes, I have played 20,000 battles, so I have a lot of tanks within the garage. But when it comes down to some of the premium tanks, I can't necessarily review them all because I don't have all of them. And there are, trust me, a lot of premium tanks, 326. Yes, I own 83 of them, but there's still, a ton of premium tanks that I don't own. So I will try my best to review every single premium tank in the game as and when I can, but I can't promise that I can review all of them within the next couple of weeks. I am only one person, and hopefully I can actually get Wargaming's kind of help with trying to review some of these tanks, and that should help out a little bit with regards to picking some tanks that you actually want to see. I've seen lots of comments, so remember, actually leave some comments in the comment section down below as to what videos you want to see next. What tank line would you actually want to see me grind next? Because of course, on the tech tree, I can do that fairly easily. I can get to a tier 10 fairly quickly within probably a week of playing or so. But yeah, interested to see what you have to say, and of course I am going down some of the tank lines already. Haven't played the Swedish TDs, which I've seen a few comments actually telling me to actually play, so maybe I will actually have a go at that. Of course, there is obviously the Type 5 Heavy, which I haven't gone down, and that's something I will be looking to do in the near future. Try and get that tank so we can have a bit of a derp around within it. And yeah, hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for some more content. So I do want to say before the end of this video a massive thank you to a few people that have decided to actually join the channel as a member, and I think it's really important to give a little something back. And so the end of this video and the future videos will have a list of people that have decided to join, and a massive thank you to you guys for supporting the channel and just supporting me to be able to create this content and spend a little bit more money on the game to get you content and stuff like that. So a massive thank you to Sergio Gonzalez, New Joe 1998, RKD, Zed, and Kennetank36. So yeah, a massive thank you to all of you guys for supporting the channel, and I hope that you still enjoy the game. And of course, some of you have actually been around for multiple months in a row, which is a massive thumbs up from me, and I really do appreciate you sticking around. So thank you very much for all being a member. But other than that, I think we've got some videos on screen that you can have a look at. Of course, with the update news videos that we do have on the channel, then you can have a look at those. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.